Now I'm gonna read my book Octorania the best I can, but cannot expect my English to be totally perfect, but I try my best anyway. So I released this book like a couple months ago, and here we go. Chapter 1, Captain Daniel. The bright morning sun's first rays illuminated the sea's surface near the island of Bermuda. The morning was lovely and did not promise a storm. It was the year 1748. The sea was completely calm. Several boats had been lowered into the water as many fishermen took advantage of this magnificent morning. Spring was turning into summer. The whole world seems perfectly calm before the storm. Dolphins swam further away from the coast, happily splashing, and beyond that, the whale's tail rose above the water's surface and slammed violently, throwing water around. Someone with a keen eye could have even sworn they saw mermaids in the water. Seagulls flew low over the water. Some larger birds divide to catch small fish for food. Nearly in the harbor, men were busy with a large ship named Survival. They were repairing it for a sea voyage. It had been lying in a dock for 4 weeks for repairs. The previous voyage's battle against pirates had left its mark on the ship. The crew was preparing to lower it into the water. The fine ship had experienced hard times in recent years. The captain arrived by carriage with his wife and son. I'm so excited about this trip, Dad, the boy said. I hope the trip goes smoothly. I don't like water at all, the wife said. Oh, Miriam, you won't get seawater on your beautiful dress sitting in a cabin. You won't get wet unless you accidentally fall off the deck into the water. Best to go to my cabin, Captain Daniel said happily. As you command, I will go to the cabin even though it can't be very cozy. I will serve lunch there. I will stay on the deck, the boy said. Go to survival now, and I will come after you soon. The family headed for the ship's blank, and the captain went to meet Captain Adams. Good morning, Captain Daniel, Adams began. Same to you, Captain Adams. It was quite a miracle that you survived your last mission 4 weeks ago. Survival suffered a lot of damage. Amazingly, you are already returning to the water with it. It has been repaired, and thanks to the hard-working man, Captain Bruce Madman and his men were close to destroying us, but after shooting him, the men's desire to fight died quickly. It was a great battle. You could pay me even more for that. No, Daniel, you got enough reward for a well done job. I understand that the repairs to your ship cost a lot. It's been a boring 4 weeks on land, and I'm not a land looper. The wife doesn't like it, but what can a good sailor do about his nature? Exactly. I always want to go to sea too. Job is easier without a wife, I say. Do you have a new pirate mission to offer? I don't want to take anything challenging when my family is with me. Today I don't have a new mission to offer. Maybe next week. You have stopped so many pirates that the missions have started to run low. See you next week when I get back. See you, Daniel. Daniel left and went to survival's deck. He met his first mate, Franklin. Is everything ready for departure, Franklin? Everything is ready. Sam, Walter, and the crew have done a good job. Survival is like new again. Gorgeous. And so is the weather today. Daniel, the storm won't bother us today. Did you get a new mission? Can I kill pirates? You won't get to kill pirates this time, Franklin. Captain Adams didn't have any suitable tasks for us. But better luck next week. We just talked briefly. I hope you're satisfied with your captain today. You are a good man. Franklin. I was a little disappointed, but I'm not angry. You are like the brother to me, Cap. Go on now, Franklin. Ready to cast off. The ship left for the sea an hour later. Captain Daniel was sitting on his cabin with his wife Miriam, eating lunch and talking. This would be their first sea voyage together. The captain, who was usually in a good mood at sea, was no longer so cheerful. His wife had bring up the next topic on the table right now. Here we just sit. I'm not happy anymore. Like I used to be. The smiling, loving, and early pregnant young girl is gone now. Their son was now 16. The mother had just passed 30, and the father Daniel had reached nearly 40. Let her be gone. You no longer have to be her. You have grown into a woman. You don't love me anymore, Miriam. That fact makes me very sad. I imagined we could have a pleasant sea voyage without pirates and storms. James is excited, and you should be too, Miriam. Even this sea voyage won't save our marriage anymore. You were too much at sea. I'm sorry I brought it up now. But now that you were on land for a month, I realized you are not fit for the kind of life I would have wanted with you. The sea is my passion, but I have never stopped loving you. I would have taken James to the sea, and it bothers me that you didn't allow it. I'm not the kind of man who lives in a fine mansion doing nothing. You only love your stupid ship and the sea. I wish the storm could take you with it, or the pirates would take care of you. You love killing them, but keep doing your thing. You don't know anything else. You can't keep your woman happy, Captain. How dare you, Miriam? Daniel said and hit the table with his fist. He was never violent toward his wife. Their marriage was now over, and there was no help of pounding the table. Their son James had the honor of steering the ship. That's why he wasn't there. But Daniel didn't want his son to see how their relationship ended. After this sea voyage, everything is over, Miriam said. And they didn't talk anymore. Daniel leaned disappointedly on his hands and drank a cup of rum. He wasn't a drinking man, but he sought comfort from it at times like this. Maybe his wife, maybe his life with Miriam was over now. To his knowledge, Miriam didn't have another man yet. How had he not realized that Miriam could leave him today? They hadn't shared a bed for weeks. The woman had had enough. Miriam was still young and they could have more children. James would remain their only child. He knew Miriam wouldn't change her mind quickly. He could still try to change his wife's mind on this sea voyage. Daniel had made numerous trips as a captain of survival for 12 years alone without his wife, who had to wait for her husband back home for years. He wasn't a landlubber. He was experienced so much as the captain of survival and knew how to fight. He was a better swordsman than anyone else. The pirates had attacked numerous times, but the fearless captain had repeatedly sunk their ships. One time, for example, the pirates had captured him, but in one night he had killed the pirates and finally freed his comrades. He usually didn't surrender to anyone because he felt it was humiliating. I'm like humiliating. I can't say that, but it had always been crucial for him to maintain his reputation as the fearless captain whom the robbers couldn't pride. He was the terror of the pirates, the man without equal. 3 hours later, on the open sea, the ship was tossed about violently in a storm. This storm wasn't supposed to be today and was different from the usual hurricane. They might not survive this alive. Captain Daniel had tied himself to the helm so he wouldn't be washed away by the waves. The storm had washed all the men off the deck into the sea and they drowned. Franklin was still holding on the ropes on the deck. "Don't let go, Franklin," Daniel shouted. "Save our ship, Cap." "Don't worry about me," Franklin said, letting go and disappearing into the water. "Damn, there goes a good man," Daniel shouted angrily. This storm would kill him too. They said that the captain would go down with his ship. And that's what was about to happen. His wife Miriam and James were so scared they dared not leave the captain's cabin. That was the safest place for them. I don't want to drown and I'm terribly scared. I know, son. Your father is doing everything he can to save us. That is not God. The sea will win and we will die. Fear not, I'm here, James. I will protect you from evil. Your father is an experienced sailor and he has saved his ship many times, so not to mention his crew. Hold to me, boy. Together we will survive, said mother. I'm going to Dad now. You're not going, and he specially told us to stay here. It's too dangerous. Daniel saw a giant whirlpool ahead of him that could end everything. He was more afraid now than ever. This one wasn't the ordinary storm. He fought hard to keep the survival away from it until the mast broke and there was nothing left of sails. The helm came off the ship and Daniel flew high with the wind. He saw how the survival broke into pieces. He didn't know what happened to his family. The captain's cabin was gone. He closed his eyes as he fell miles deep and lost consciousness. He opened his eyes without knowing how much time had passed and gasped for air in astonishment. After inhaling for a while, he realized he wasn't drowning, even though he was at the bottom of the sea. Daniel was able to breathe underwater, as unbelievable as it felt. He let the water carry him, and it wasn't cold at all. Below him was an incredible landscape. Everywhere he looked, unseen sea creatures swam, and how beautiful they were. There were all kinds of lights here and there, but they couldn't be from the human world. This one had to be a dream, but Daniel couldn't wake up. He could have stayed there just watching, but something slimy grabbed his hand. Terrified, Daniel tried to get away from the creature's grip, but it was no use. The grip held. It took him to the black depths. The beast didn't intend to eat him despite its horrible appearance. It seems to have something very different in mind than killing. Don't be afraid, I'm Alcuriel. The queen of the mermaids. Come with me, sailor, it whispered in his ear in English, and no air bubbles came out of its fang-filled mouth. It had gills like a sea creature, and its yellow eyes had something heavenly and fascinating, mystic. After staring at it momentarily, Daniel fell into some enchantment and couldn't move. For a mermaid, the creature was anything but a beautiful sight. Daniel wasn't sure, but he thought he had seen the horrible monster, sometimes in the shape of a naked woman, as if it had shape-shifted. Queen Alcuriel took him to an underwater cave. They made love even though Daniel probably didn't even realize it. The beauty of the female creature blinded him. Daniel fell asleep and it left him alone. What Alcuriel wanted from him was the mystery for now. It would have done it already if it tried to feast on his flesh. Alcuriel's horrible appearance was just an illusion. Daniel wandered in a limbo between dream and reality, trying vainly to understand where he had ended up. The horror of men washed away by the sea took over his mind. I must be in the underworld already. My men are dead and my family. He saw his ship being destroyed in his mind repeatedly. He tried to focus on seeing if the cabin had survived intact. Hope was gone. They could hardly be alive anymore. He could find out. The mermaid didn't want to give any answers, even though she was already attached to him. Don't be sad, come and see what awaits you down here. I'm not interested in the horrors of the underworld. Gualarium is not the underworld. Daniel let himself sink to the very bottom of the sea, and nothing took him away. There were all kinds of beasts living in the ocean that no one had never ever seen, or if they had, they hadn't survived to talk about them. For some reason they left him alone. Maybe the queen of the mermaids, Alcuriel, protected him in some way. He could walk on the bottom almost like a sandy beach, but walking there was prolonged. Soon he saw a gate in the front of him, square in shape and surrounded by red lights. Its diameter was 2 arm length. Black darkness spread everywhere above him, and it seems endless. He had no idea how deep he was. Oh, how small he felt at that moment. A massive flood of unanswered questions filled his mind, filled his head, but he let them go. He had survived for some unknown reason and seen something that could that would shake his understanding of everything. Daniel was no longer afraid of anything but continued bravely forward. He wanted to find that place whose incredibly lights he had seen from above. Soon his fantastic view spread. Soon this fantastic view spread out before him, not so far away. The yellow glowing lights spread over a large area below him. He was now standing on a ledge from which he could observe that great wonder. It was some city that looked more significant than any Daniel had seen, so it couldn't be from his era of the 18th century. Daniel stared at the city in awe for a long time. He wanted to go there but needed help finding a door. Beautiful, I wish I could find a door. I wonder if there are mermaids there. There must be treasures. I must get there somehow. He thought to himself. Suddenly, he noticed he was gasping for air and couldn't breathe underwater anymore. Panic seized him. Help, I'm drowning. Help, I'm drowning. Don't worry, forget the panic, the voice whispered. Now something grabbed him and it wasn't surprise anymore. Daniel tried to turn around to look but couldn't see anything. Instead, he saw a milky membrane that was formed in the middle of the gate. In the middle of the sea gate. The gate was human-sized, and suddenly someone pushed him towards it at high speed. He felt like he was drowning, forced through the white membrane towards the unknown. Was this the entrance to the city? He saw in his mind eye, wandering in the darkness for a moment until white light point in a distant rushed towards him, growing at the furious pace, and he felt himself falling into some floor. Daniel sank into unconsciousness without glancing around. He came to consciousness for a moment as he coughed water out of his mouth. lying on his side. He was not dead yet. Uh, Next time, chapter 2.